Hello.
Hello, how are we doing?
All right, thank you. I was just faffing around with something, so I'm just momentarily distracted, but I should be ready and alert.
No problem whatsoever.
For when we're ready to go.
No problem whatsoever.
How's life been? Have you moved house?
We have moved house. Shall I shall remove the facade so you shall see my current state of being. Look at that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Boxes. Welcome to the world of boxes.
Boxes and boxes and lovely decor. Look at that. look at that detailing around the edge of the wallpaper.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Check out the cupboards from the 80s, possibly 70s.
What are you going to do? A room at a time, or just
we're gonna live in it first of all. Make sure that we can actually afford everything.
Yeah. Because that's what my brother did with his. They basically gutted their whole house, so they lived out of their bedroom. They had their microwave in their bedroom, the fridge was in their bedroom.
Wow.
And they just literally did one room and then moved into that room and then spread out. Yeah,
I think the rooms are livable, and I don't think, even though I think I could do that, I could totally be like, yeah, one room at a time, yeah, let's do this. I think Claudia would be like, no, we're not doing that. Claudia would just refuse. So we have all the different rooms. I think we have a order in which we want to do things. We want to do bathroom.
Yep.
So do bathroom. Yeah, do the bathroom, get that sorted. Then sort out the roof because there's some issues with the roof. Then I think the next thing, because we want to do a whole refurb, which we think might include an extension.
Yep.
Yeah, and so the layout of the kitchen that Claudia has in mind will depend on the extension. So
yes. Yeah, because you don't want to do work and then have to almost undo it, or that goes to waste.
Yes.
Because you haven't thought far enough ahead.
Yeah. And as part of the extension, we want to do, we've been told we don't need a total rewire, which is good. But we do want to change, essentially get ourselves some more plugs.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the layout of the plugs is not suitable for modern living.
Yeah, they're never in the right place where you want them.
Well, it's never in the right place, and there's just not enough of them. There is. So in the bedroom, for instance, we have the bed, and usually you would have plug socket on either side of the bed. That's
Yeah.
that's what we've gotten used to anyway. But with this one, we have the bed and the plug socket. The only plug socket in the room is all the way on the other side of the room from where the bed head is. So we're having to.
You can't have a bedside lamp. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have a bedside lamp, and obviously nowadays you can't charge your phones at your bedside. So you have to essentially attach a. We have to attach an extension socket and snake it round the bed to get to the point where we can have one on either side, which is it's okay, it's functional, but it's not ideal. So
yeah, my room's the same. I've got one socket, and it's actually behind my wardrobe because it's right in the middle of the room. And there's only 2 places in my room where a wardrobe would fit, and that's where it is. So I have an extension that's fixed in, and the wardrobe is like pushed up against it, and that extension snakes basically for all of my electrical goods. It's got like 4 or 5 sockets on it, and everything is plugged on to this extension. It's probably not the least bit safe, but that's what I've had for 20 years.
It's what we have. So I think we do have a plan that at some point we will change everything. We will change. We do have a plan that at some point we will change everything, and
this is yours now. So this is your house. So you can grow into it. You can say, okay, this is what we want to grow into. We may not need this now, but we've got to look ahead, don't you, to 10 years down the line, or 20 years down the line, if that's what you want.
Yeah. So that's what. So, but I think the first thing. I know definitely the bathroom. It's kind of like we'll take a loan, but we need to sort that bathroom out. Need to, and I think the loan will sort out the bathroom and the roof. Then we can handle those things. Then I think we start putting money down to look for a deposit, to look for the extension, and to do the house, because when we do that, we'll get the kitchen done. Get all the islands that Claudia wants in, because Claudia has a very clear idea, which I think will be brilliant.
Yeah.
And get the bifold doors going into the garden, because it has got a big garden. It has So we will.
How many bedrooms have you got?
We've got 3.
3. Oh, that's good. So at the moment you can use one as an office or whatever, can't you?
Yeah. At the moment we have master bedroom, we have office, and we have dumping ground. So the good thing is we don't have anybody coming to visit us at the moment, because if we did, then we would have to sort out one of those rooms and actually turn it into a reasonable sort of guest room. Well, we don't have to do that at the moment.
That's cool. Gives you some breathing space, and you've got you've got more than a couple of months breathing space for Kemi, because she's not going to need to be separated from you for a few months yet. So
no, not yet. Yeah. So
she's still happy with her. Is she like in a basket or a little bassinet thing?
She's in a bassinet, so she goes between the carry cot and the bassinet. So the carry cot is kind of like a pram push thing. Although the problem is that she is growing at quite a click, and and her head is getting closer and closer to the top of the bassinet. And so we're like, oh yeah, we need to build that cot. So one of the things we did the day we moved in, we wanted to build the cot, but we had inherited this cot from Claudia's sister. It pretty much Claudia's mom. She drove up. I pretty much just dumped it on us. I was like, "Yeah, that's it. This is yours now. Goodbye." and
Thank you. I think.
It was one of the we were like, okay, we have quite a lot of clothes. Could we please not get any clothes? And then she says, "Oh, by the way, I've bought you a whole bunch of clothes." You're like, oh Lord. So it's so we inherited the carry cot. We inherited the cot, but when we tried to put it on, we don't actually have the fittings, the screws to put it together. So we go in touch with Claudia's sister, going, you sent us a cot with no screws. She's like, I'll have a look in my cupboard. She's like, I think I found the screws. And so we should be getting those in the post sometime soon. Then Kemi will have her own bed she'll have her own bed that we can sit down and chill and be like, well, she's not going to grow for a while.
she's going to be there for a little bit. Are you going to put him on those baby grow things, or they're like sleeping bags, aren't they? They'll be little poppers on the shoulders so that she can kick her legs, and turn over and not kick her covers off. Because some babies like them, and other babies like, no, get me out of this thing.
Well,
depends on how kicky they become.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, at the moment, we do have one of those. We got given one of those, and we will. I think there will come a time where we'll put her in that, just because it's easier than trying to.
Yeah, Flynn had one, but I don't think Mia liked it. But Flynn had his until he was, moved up into the next bed up.
Yeah.
But when he was in a cot, he always had one.
Cool. Good. All right.
And he's 17 now, but he probably would still have it if you let him, I suppose. But yeah, he's.
Yeah, they're nice. They're comfortable, like onesies. They're comfortable. Yeah. They're so good. Babies have got it made. All the people who are trying to stop us from wearing those and telling you that, you're too old to wear one of those. Enemies of comfort. Enemies of comfort.
Easy. Yeah.
Right. Shall we find out where Mr. Harris has got to?
Yes, where he's got to.
Okay.
He's decided, he's got it, that it's past again. It's like, nope, that was last time.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, we switched it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I might have complicated things.
But that was just a one-off, so I didn't think who knows?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Shaun, how's it going? Yeah, we're ready to go. All right, cool. See.
Oh, I've lost track. Never mind, that'll do.
Yeah, he's coming.
Did he get the time wrong?
Oh, I don't know. He just said, are we ready? I was like, yeah, we're ready.
Good.
He said, I'll just get the link. Just get the link.
Bob's at work, so I'm downstairs today.
Oh, wow.
I'm not huddled on my bed thinking it's getting colder and colder in here. So I don't have any heating in my bedroom. And where I'm above this, no, I don't like it. So when I'm in bed, so I don't have any heating there. And I'm above the hallway. So there's no heating below my bedroom either. So by sort of 7 o'clock, I'm thinking, it's getting a bit nippy in here.
Just sort of like icebox.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I was asleep.
Oh.
I was like that. I was like, when you called.
No problem, Shaun. We thought that maybe you thought that it was a 6:30 or something.
Yeah, no, it's just like, oh no. I just, so you guys good?
Yes, doing well.
You guys good?
Yeah.
Yeah, doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty tired, really. For some reason, I was supposed to go, they texted me and said, go up to the hospital for a check. And I went up there this afternoon and they said, oh no, it's next week. And I said, well, look at this text. And I showed them the text and it said today, it said 3rd. And they're like, oh, white with double check, you're white with treble check. And it wasn't. So it was next week. So I was a little bit miffed, but so yeah, I sort of just sat down for a few minutes and dozed off. It was like it was quite a peaceful doze as well.
I can imagine. I've been enjoying my midday naps recently.
Have you?
Yeah, I bet. I've been enjoying my midday naps. They've been pretty good stuff. Oh, right. Shall we jump in?
Yeah, let's jump in. Let's go for it.
Okay. Ooh. Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that does what it says on the tin. We usually go Netflix versus cinema. My name is Tosin. I am your host, and I am based in the Midlands, but not near Coventry anymore. Now closer to Birmingham, a nice place in Worcestershire called Bromsgrove. And joining me on the Isle of Wight, as always, are Sharon.
Hello.
And Shaun.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Now, as I was saying, the name says, Netflix versus cinema. We usually talk about things. We watch a couple of things at home on Netflix, watch a couple of things at the cinema, and then we weigh them up against each other. But seeing as we are in 2020 and it is just a totally uncertain time where nobody knows whether we're coming or going, and we don't know when cinemas are coming back, we are kind of like Netflix versus the idea of cinema. So what we're doing in the meantime is, I know at the beginning of lockdown, we had a whole bit where we were interviewing people about films and about cinema and all that. And we will do that every now and then when I can figure out what I'm doing after a house move. And, but at this time, it's just going to be what we've seen at home. It's going to be what we've seen on Netflix. We're going to talk about the things that we've seen over the while. But before we do that, did you guys see the news? My wife sent me a link earlier today saying, oh, check this out. I think this would be a good thing to discuss in the podcast. And you know, in Bristol, where there is a plinth, there was a plinth that until recently had a statue of Coulson on it.
Yep.
That got knocked over during the Black Lives Matter protests. Did you see that somebody had put a Darth Vader figurine on that plinth?
Oh no, because obviously Dave Prowse.
Yes, because we had Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader, who was the man in the suit, the man behind the mask walking up and down. He died in the last week, and as a tribute to him, someone has gone and put a Darth Vader statue on there and just left it there for a while. And I just thought that's awesome. That is just awesome.
Nice, yeah. So in 100 years, they'd look at that. If it was Darth Vader, they could look at that and go, what the heck did he do?
Yeah, I know. And obviously, eventually, it's going to get removed. It will get removed, but for the 5 minutes or so that it was up, I think that's like kudos to whoever thought of that. Kudos to whoever put that up there. Genius idea.
Yeah, because to me, he's, as well as Darth Vader, he's still the Green Cross Code man. Because I was just at that age in the 1970s when he was the face of road safety in Great Britain. So when we talk about road safety, we always do, stop, look, listen, think. It's just ingrained in me and that is the Green Cross Code was stop, look, listen, think before you cross the road. It did random message. Yeah, that was ingrained in my
always
road
remember
safety.
The Green Cross Code. Whoops.
Yes.
Yeah, so no, if you're listening to this just audio only and you're wondering what's happening, Shaun is currently having tripod issues.
I am, yeah. I'm trying to get it so it stands up.
He's trying to sort out his phone, try to put it in such a way. Yeah. But
okay, I'll just hold it.
You just need to get a bear that is stuffed with, what is he stuffed with? Horse, sawdust or something. This bear is so solid.
Precariously balanced.
You see, no, this is the kind of thing that I guess we used to do with Netflix cinema. We've always done this podcast remotely. So when things came up and when lockdown hit, it didn't change the way we did the podcast that much because since I moved off the Isle of Wight, you guys it would always be a case that we would meet up. But you guys used to meet up and then you guys couldn't. For that, but I think this is one of the things that we never really thought about because we never had a video aspect to it. But now it's all kind of like, okay, what are the different people's sort of stabilization techniques for their phone? And Sharon uses a bear. Who is it the same bear?
It's the same bear. Yeah.
It's the same bear. Okay, what's his name again?
Charity.
Charity, that's it. Charity is now a valued member of the team. Holds Sharon's phone, and Shaun is just figuring out your precarious way.
Yeah, mine's a steel Scottish mineral water bottle with half full.
and I use a laptop, so it's nice. So I don't have to worry too much about that. But anyway, yes, David Prowse. We're talking about David Prowse because I was not in the UK in the 80s, so I didn't know about the Green Cross Code. But it was a Darth Vader thing. But obviously, whenever people talk about David Prowse and people say, "Oh, did you know Darth Vader?" When I was getting to my film buffer, he's like, "Do you know Darth Vader was an Englishman from Bristol?" And it's like, "What? That doesn't sound right." But anytime they would always mention the Green Cross Code, man. But David Prowse, rest in peace, and know that you've made your mark. People will remember you forever. especially because Star Wars is going nowhere. Even though we might beg for it to stop slowing your legacy, it's going nowhere.
Well, it's it's going nowhere, especially with the Mandalorian. I mean, I've been watching the Mandalorian, but obviously haven't finished yet. But
yeah.
So,
well, is that season 1 or season 2?
It's going really, really strong, and I think it's really, really popular, isn't it?
It is popular. They're doing season 2 at the moment, and they have okayed it for season 3.
Wow.
So yeah, I think the Mandalorian is going strong. It's and from what I hear, it might redeem the entire Star Wars thing. From what I'm hearing, it might do that.
Yeah, I think it probably, yeah, I think it probably does.
Yeah, because we don't want to get back into a Rise of Skywalker thing. Because
no.
yeah, I think Shaun, you and I have made our thoughts really well known, and Sharon has a bit more politely made her thoughts really well known as well. But anyway, let's get into what it is that we have been watching this week. We know as far as the Versus is concerned, the Netflix is one because there is no cinema, but there's still stuff out there that we can be getting our teeth into. So Sharon, you've been watching a show called Barbarians?
Barbarians.
On Netflix.
And that's on Netflix. It's a German miniseries. I'm trying to think whether it's 6 or 8 parts, because I watched it boom, over 3 nights. So yes, it's basically the story of the Roman Empire and how the Romans invaded the Germanic lands. It's tribal, like Britain was, and so it wasn't Germany then, but they're called sort of Germania in the sort of the Roman world, and how basically they took a step too far, and how some of the local tribes rose up against them. And it is the story of those German tribes versus the Roman Empire.
All right.
And if you know your history, then the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest there won't be any surprises in there. But if you don't know that period of history, then it's quite gripping stuff, because it is an interesting. It's like for us, it's like when we think about the Roman invasion of Britain and the different battles, if you mention Boudica, you instantly get a picture in your head of the sequence of events and what led to them and the consequences, and there are certain key things that happen. So if you were German, if you talked about Teutoburg Forest, then you would go instantly, they would probably name the war leader. I don't want to name the war leader in my review, because if you don't know the story, it's a complete spoiler. But if you do know the story, you're waiting for it to...
I won't, but I could have a good guess.
Yeah, you're waiting for this particular person to be made known, and when they are made known, you're not going, that's how they're going to go from get to where they ended up. So I thought it was really interesting. I knew that period of history, that's why I wanted to watch it, because I'd read about that sort of the Roman sort of incursions into Germania. It's a similar time frame to when Gladiator was set.
Okay.
So you see at the beginning of Gladiator, you've got those sort of Germanic tribal wars set in a similar period of time. But this is where the Teutoburg Forest is where a number of disparate German tribes united against the Romans.
All right.
And yes.
So with this, now because every now and then Netflix comes up with a show, like when they came up with Warrior Nun, that I look at and I go, that looks like Netflix just doing Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I saw Barbarians, and I think the poster for Barbarians prominently features, I think it's a woman in sort of tribal face paint.
Yes.
And I look at that and I go, how is this not just Vikings?
I think Vikings has helped it along, but there are elements of Vikings in there where they suddenly go, hey, there's some interesting stories in ancient history. But I think because it's German made, I think it's got more of a sort of a Germanic feel about it, and obviously they have a certain reverence for their history, though, that they're rediscovering, because in some ways, because of the militarization of Germany in the sort of 19th and 20th centuries, modern Germans have been like, no, we don't want to know that part of our past.
Yeah.
And a lot of these sort of the earlier Germanic histories, their military history especially, was was really downplayed and tried to forgotten, but people are rediscovering it in a way that they're saying, okay, we look at it in a different light. This is not to foster our own sense of like nationalism. This is about appreciating that we've got this varied, rich history that we shouldn't know, because of recent past, we shouldn't be embarrassed of all of our history.
Yeah.
But people have used the Schutenberg Forest in the 19th century and in the early 20th to say, look, Germany is like, and it was used, you know, in a negative context. But now they're trying, you gather from what I've read about the making of this film, is that, yeah, they're trying to rediscover that sort of sense of national identity without shame, so that they can say, this was a part of our history, that we can say, this part of our history again. Whereas they've really shied away from doing that for a long, long time. So as a taken out of its social context or historical context, as a piece of filmmaking, I thought it was entertaining. There's some engaging characters. You follow like a group of characters all the way through it, through these episodes, to the Romans and through the sort of the Germans, and yeah, you sort of get invested in what's going on. So there's some interesting twists. Like Vikings, they use the whole mythology of not the Druids, but that sort of Druidic, you know, folk magic, folk.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think how you describe it, like the wise woman in the woods. They have the weird guy in the
mysticism.
cave, Vikings. Yeah, that mysticism. That's the word.
Yeah. So Shaun, you were going to say something.
That running through it, but you, Shawnee?
Yeah, no, I was just picking up on the revisionist history of Germany and that, because I think a while ago when we did a review, I did a review of Generation War, which was a little mini series, which was, you know, that was about like a German nurse and that you know. So I think for so long it had been, you know, we can't do anything to do with war. I mean, I like board games, and the German board games are games like Carcassonne and all that, and there's no, you know, like we have games like Risk and but in Germany there was nothing to do with conflict really, or nothing.
Settlers of Catan, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Settlers of Catan. Yeah, there's another one, and so I think I agree with Sharon. I think I didn't realise this was a German production, but you know, having said that, I should imagine it's quite good.
Well, the thing is, you guys know me. You know, when I have my moments when I get on my soapbox and I start going, wow, and I'm all about people telling their own stories. I'm all about, like, you know, if you have Germans, if you have whatever it is, telling their own stories as opposed to some other people coming in and picking over their culture. So Germans telling their own history, I'm all for it. And I'll be even more for it when you have African shows doing that. Oh my God, I can't wait for that. Oh. You know, because I'll tell you one thing that keeps bugging my head, and it's one of these things when I eventually get over my own fears of thinking I'll be rubbish at it and making TV shows about. I want to be like, okay, fine, we know all about the Elizabeth I era, we know all about this because it keeps getting brought up all around the world and being presented as history, as world history. I'm like, what was happening in Africa at the same time? What was happening in what is now Nigeria at the same? I don't want to go and make a TV show about what was happening in Nigeria at the same time. But it's that would be glorious. But anyway, so Sharon, how many stars? How many stars would you give Barbarians?
I would give it a 4-star review. I found it engaging, entertaining, and I looked to see if they were going to do another bit. So to me it was a good watch. It was worth the watch. So 4.
Good stuff. Shaun, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was. I'd forgotten what it was. So
don't worry, Shaun. I'm getting to that age myself. I think the frequency of me walking into a room and looking around and going, "What did I come in here for?" it's beginning to worry me. It's just increased the frequency of doing that. So, all right, and now we move on to, I think we're all on Netflix today. Everything that we've watched today has been on Netflix. So, Shaun, you watched and this is one of the big Netflix things at the moment, one of the Netflix blockbuster things, The Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit, yeah.
The Queen's Gambit.
The story basically, it's like this girl who goes to an orphanage, and you know, she's quite young, but she happens to go down to the cellar to get rid of some rubbish, and she sees a guy playing chess, and like the janitor guy, and she says, "Oh, can you teach me to play?" He goes, "No, I can't," and he's like really, really horrible. Anyway, she manages to persuade him, and he's sort of, you can see he's looking, he says, "You resign now." And she goes, "What's that?" And so he sort of explains the game, but obviously he's like, "Whoa, something's a bit." So it's really funny because he's not nice to her, but he's he is in a way. Do you know what I mean? He's got that sort of way anyway. So he teaches her the game, and then he just says, you know, I think we need to. This is bring somebody in to see, and it gradually goes. So she gets a little bit older, and she starts going to all the competitions, and she gets a little bit better, and it's she gets adopted. She gets adopted by. I don't want to really give away too many spoilers. Anyway, so she gets adopted by a family, and so she can, and then it's like, oh, you can win money at these events. So so I won't really the whole story. But it sort of goes from the 50s to the 40s, 50s, 60s, and it is. I really, really sort of love that era. You know, I guess goes, you know, a bit of nostalgia there with the cars and what have you. But and well, I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy is just like, she's like right up there for me with you know, some of the other actresses. She's absolutely brilliant. She's absolutely, and she's so can take it. Even in this, it's like she's so many different personas with the fashions. Because once she starts to become known, she goes a bit, but then she becomes a little bit of an alcoholic, which you know, she gets a bit carried away. You know, like people can get carried away, and then. But she's got all her friends around her, and then she goes to these big competitions, and all her friends that she's met through the series, they're all like, I'm saying, no, this is what you got to do, this is what you got to do. And I like chess as a game anyway. So yeah, it was really, really compelling. I did it in a sort of one of those binge watches, you know, over a couple of days, because it was that good.
It seems because I mean this is the kind of thing that if I could go into giving it a NAF title or a NAF subtitle, it's almost kind of like chess, drugs, and rock and roll. You could. That could be like it's also known as
because
I've seen the trailer for it, and I agree with you, Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, anything that she does, you're like, well, that's worth a look. It's worth a look to see what's she done now. Who is she now? How has she changed herself now? And but it seems that they focus a lot on the sort of 60s aesthetic. They focus on the woman in was mostly a man's world playing chess. And they focus on the fact that she's up to her eyeballs in drugs.
She's. I mean, the thing is, what's so good about it? It is a man's world, and it is like in the orphanage. You'd think, you know, she could be, because she's like the smaller one. She might get, but she holds her own, if you know what I mean. She's quite astute. She's astute. She sort of knows how to handle situations, except when she gets a little bit carried away with the sauce, you know. But I mean, it's made chess really, really popular. I think like chess has come on as a really good game now because of this, because people love this, and it's like, oh,
especially in a lockdown, what else are you gonna do? So
well, exactly, as a chess. I mean, I used to I haven't for a while now, but I used to play chess online quite a lot back for a while, and like, I mean, my moniker was Bugman, and I remember I was playing this American dude once, and he sent back and he said, I'm going off at a tangent, but anyway, he said, so what are you, some kind of pest exterminator? So, you know, it was quite funny. But the trouble is with the online thing, I can't play and do that chat thing at the same time. So, you know, like they come up and they say, oh, well, what do you do? But so I don't play much online now. I just play on a pad. And I have to cheat.
Old school.
I keep cheat. I go undo move. You know what I mean? Oh, I made a move. Undo. I shouldn't, and I know I shouldn't, because it's only cheating myself. But I do on the odd occasion. I thought, oh, I messed up there. Undo. Bonk. You couldn't do in the real time. But knowing the rules of chess and all the different things that comes into it, they don't focus terrifically amount on the chess games. Just, you know, a few. But like with the castling and the squares and all that. So this was really right up my street, real bonus. And I thought all the acting from all the characters was terrific. And I particularly liked her adoptive mum. I thought she played a really good part. I wouldn't know who the actress is without looking.
So do we know if it's based on any kind of truth or any kind of true events, or because
I don't think it's based on anything.
Based on a novel, isn't it? I think it's based on a novel.
Based on a novel.
Oh, right, okay. Because my first thought when I heard it, I was like, "Ooh, is this women playing chess in the '60s? Is this true? Is it? They just actually And so yeah, but anyway, but it's one of those things I have on my list, and it's yet another win for Netflix in this lockdown period. I think Netflix has just churned them out. Netflix has, they kicked off with Tiger King. They now have the Queen's Gambit. There's something else I'm thinking of that everybody was just talking about for like a couple of weeks before the next thing that Netflix brings out. But I mean, I think Netflix have
Enola Holmes.
No, Enola Holmes didn't make that much. It wasn't as big a thing. It's usually the series. It's usually the series that Netflix have, but there's something else I cannot put my finger on. I can't remember, but I know during this period that they've done something that has just that people were like, oh wow, Netflix, go get a Netflix account just to watch this. So Shaun, how many stars would you give the Queen's Gambit?
Okay, I'm going to give this a super 4, a big 4, nearly touching a 5, big 4.
All right. And also Shaun. Now, every now and then on the podcast, we talk about Shaun going to beast mode because Shaun, when we have cinemas around, Shaun regularly has weeks where he decides everything needs to be seen by him. That every single film needs to be seen. And I think now we've got you out of the hospital. Now you're back. I think I'm taking this as a very good sign that you are getting back to full health, that you did try and see everything this week. And this was just like a small section where like, okay, we're picking this one. Sure, this is the one we're picking. But you did also tell us about something that you tried to watch while you were in hospital. And I'll let you tell us what it was. Tell us what it was, and then I don't want to spoil your reaction to it. Tell us what it was, and tell us what your reaction was.
Yeah, it was. You'll have to tell me because I've forgotten what it was. I know I sent it under text.
Emmerdale.
Oh yes, Emmerdale.
The land of soap.
It obviously made a massive impression on Shaun, as you can tell.
Yeah, it was. This was back a couple of weeks when I was convalescing, I guess you could say, and it was just really, really nice, easy. Should we say easy watching? And I thought, and then I had to start asking a few questions about, well, what's that? What's that? The background of that girl. So it was quite. I can understand, and that's when I decided, right, this is time. You have got to. If you can watch a week's worth of Emmerdale, you need to start thinking about going for walks and getting yourself going, because otherwise I'd have got into EastEnders and a lot of them,
Yeah.
I can understand how people would get into it, because there are some storylines, and I think with the Emmerdale, I found there was a comedic element as well. There were some bits which were quite amusing. It was quite funny, and there was some serious stuff as well. A bit which I thought, that's a bit, me and mine. But I watched it, and I could understand how people might get into that sort of watching soaps, So
that's the one my mum used to.
You'll have to admit, Emmerdale was close. Do you watch soaps at all, Sharon?
I don't watch anything like that. No, we used to watch Emmerdale. That was the last one we gave up. But there's a big commitment to watch it every night, and so that's when my mum discovered Walker Texas Ranger. He took over from Emmerdale in her affections for a long time. She watched every single episode twice. She did it round the block because they keep on repeating it on CBS Action. Yeah. And so you start at the beginning of the season and then you watch right through to when it's the last episode. And so she watched them all twice before we move on to like Sony action movies or something when there's something that mum takes her eye. So that's what we did. That's why we were, and we did watch Emmerdale.
Yeah, but there's like Walker Texas Ranger. It's kind of like a soap, but with high kicks.
Yeah. There was a film first of all, I think, and the only bit I can't remember any other Texas Ranger or Walker Texas Ranger, but the beginning of this one, whether it was the film or the series, but they sort of a couple of heavy hoods have got him, a couple of like Mexican hoods have got him sort of one arm each of them, and the old big dude comes up and he says, a Texas Ranger kicked my father's teeth in. Would you kick my teeth in, Texas Ranger? And of course he does a flippy kick and kicks all his teeth out and then takes the two that have got hold of him. So that's what I remember of Walker Texas Ranger, because I found the Chuck Norris stuff was, I don't know, just didn't work for me.
Yeah, Chuck
Norris. It's a comic book on television. It's a comic book.
Yeah. Chuck Norris I would put Chuck Norris just above Steven Seagal in
Yeah. He can't. I don't think he can act at all. Really.
Yeah. It is like both of them. I feel like neither of them can act. They're always the good guy. They're always the perfect alpha male. And they're never allowed to lose a fight. It's like if you ever see a Steven Seagal movie in which he loses a fight. I remember. I think I've told the story before of Steven Seagal, how he was in a film called Executive Decisions with Halle Berry and Kurt Russell, and there's a bit in the film. It's a 1996 film. I'm not that bothered about giving spoilers, but it's about the only Steven Seagal movie I've seen in which he dies. And I remember in that film, we watched it in Nigeria. All of our films, we were into it. We loved the Under Siege, On Broken Ground, Out for Justice. All these Steven Seagal movies.
Hard to Kill.
Hard to Kill. Yeah, we laughed them all up. We laughed up all the Steven Seagal. I remember watching Executive Decisions, and there's a bit where, because he gets killed by getting sucked out of a plane while it's in midair, and we were like, oh yeah, we're just going to wait to see how he's going to come back, how he's going to survive this, because we never see him die in a film. and it came, and it happened that the film ended, the credits roll, and we're like, what? Oh, you mean he actually died? You mean he actually died an hour ago? But yeah, and I think Chuck Norris has a similar thing, where it was all about him being this 1980s hard man. Let's go destroy all the places that are not America.
Yeah, I think it was when he appeared in the Bruce Lee film, Way of the Dragon. I think that probably put him on the acting stage, because it's definitely. I think he was in a film. I don't know if it was called Delta Force or something as well. And
he was in Delta Force. Yes,
he's just terrible. I don't. He's just awful actor, really.
Delta Force.
Even he has that little cameo in one of the. What's the Stallone films with all the characters? The Unbreakable, not the Unbreakable. The Expendables. I think he even turns up in one of them, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
He does turn up it.
Yeah, with like heavenly music, I think, when he appears, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's Chuck Norris.
The bit I like, the best bit of acting he did was in Dodgeball, I think.
I was just about to mention Dodgeball. What do you think, Chuck Norris? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. Yes, we got on a Shawnee tangent there. But anyway, coming back. So now it's up to what I say this week, and it's a bit like you, Shaun. Not really over, but it's kind of like over the last month or so, I've seen quite a few different things. But the most recent thing, and the thing I think I would like to, is The Crown season 4. So this is the Netflix not documentary, but the Netflix show about The Crown. It refers to the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. So the reigning monarch in the UK at the moment, and so each season sort of corresponds with like a decade. So the first season was about her. It starts off with King George VI. There's the king, and then it's about her becoming the queen, and all the sort of different fights she has to go with. And now we get to season 4, and season 4 is the 80s, which is, I think, ever since they mentioned the fact that The Crown was going to be made and it was going to be about the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, there's one particular character that people have been waiting for since season 1 to show up. Can anybody guess who that character is?
Princess Diana.
Princess Diana, Princess of Wales. And season 4 is the moment. Season 4 is the moment where it kicks off in episode 1 with Margaret Thatcher becoming Prime Minister in 1979. So becoming the first female Prime Minister of the UK. And then it carries on all the way through the 1980s. And so you get to go through, in this season, we get to see Margaret Thatcher come to power, everything that comes with that. We get to see the Falklands War. We get to see Princess Diana and Prince Charles. And I think what they have done with The Crown, I think it's really, really clever, because the first 2 seasons, you had Claire Foy, who played Queen Elizabeth, and she plays her in her 20s and 30s. And then you have Olivia Colman taking over, and they've jumped forward. So I think she's playing her in her 40s and 50s. And when you show the 2 characters, like, I think that they've done the idea is almost like the Queen has become a different person, from the young person who never thought that she was going to have to take the throne, who thought she was talking about, like, being a young married person in Greece with her husband, It was somewhere sunny. It might not have been Greece, but with Prince Philip and
They
all
were in
that.
Malta, I think. They were based in Malta.
Malta, yeah, it was Malta. Yeah, and because he died, her father dies premature, so she's thrust into and you see Claire Foy fighting with how to become a queen, and then now by seasons 3 and 4, you see a bit where she's almost sort of settled into a pattern, and she's almost sort of just accepted that this is her lot. They have bits where they show she might have wanted something different for her life, but duty takes over. And The Crown is really clever because it jumps between it's basically 3 different strands that it jumps between. There's the family strand, where it's just like the royal family is still a family, and you're going to see them bicker, and you're going to see them fight, and you're going to see them try and figure out how to be a royal family. And it goes through the personal royal family bit. Then it goes through the political bit that the Queen has. So the audiences with her prime minister, because the whole show of The Crown actually came from a show that Peter Morgan wrote called The Audience, which is all about the weekly audience that the Queen has with her prime minister through the years. And so the audiences with the prime minister are a key part of The Crown, with her sitting down essentially at loggerheads with Margaret Thatcher. Those are some of the best scenes, And then you have that, but then you now have this sort of like interpersonal relationship. So the idea of Charles and Diana's relationship plays a big part of this season. And I think this show is brilliant. I think it is. I think the set design is amazing, because they didn't let them film in Buckingham Palace. So the set design is amazing. And the fact that they've said, okay, we know these historical things happened. So we know these things happened, but we don't know what was said behind closed doors. So we need to sort of extrapolate and use some artistic license to try and figure out what did the Queen say to Margaret Thatcher in this audience. And I think that the way they've done it is really, really well. The performances are brilliant. I think Olivia Colman is great as the Queen. She's kind of like this sort of steady thing that everybody sort of revolves around. I think Tobias Menzies as Prince Philip. I love the line between Matt Smith playing a young Prince Philip and Tobias Menzies playing an older Prince Philip. I think he is great. You might know him. He's probably best known as being the guy whose wedding it was at the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
he is probably best known as that. I think in this, Josh O'Connor as Prince Charles. I think Josh O'Connor is brilliant as Prince Charles. But obviously, this season, everyone's going to ask, what about Diana? What about Diana? Because that's a very tricky role to get right.
Yeah, it's caused a lot of controversy. I think the series is a bit Marmite, isn't it? I mean, I've seen some people moaning about it a little bit.
There's people who are moaning about it. And when I read their moans, I don't really think they have a leg to stand on. Like there was a minister who was saying that Netflix should put a warning telling people that this is not a documentary. This is like, it's a work of fiction. And when there was someone who was actually complaining about the portrayal of Margaret Thatcher. And I have to say, Gillian Anderson, known for the X-Files, she plays Margaret Thatcher. And I think her looks wise. I think it's great. I think she gives a good performance, but I think it's too mannered, because the way she speaks and everything like that, I like. One thing about The Crown does is like they tell you all these stories, and you're like, "What did that actually happen?" And you go and you go to a Wikipedia hole, and you find out that some of the most outlandish things that The Crown puts forward actually did happen. That this happened. That person did say this. And so it makes you go online and actually look at Margaret Thatcher and see how she actually spoke. And she isn't as mannered as Gillian Anderson portrays her. She isn't as, it's not as stuck up, I don't think, as Gillian Anderson portrays her. So it's, so that is one thing that both my wife and I are watching and going, we think that's a bit extra. You put a bit too much mustard on that. You put a bit too much. So but Emma Corrin, who plays Diana, Emma Corrin, who plays Diana, it's actually uncanny. There's sometimes when you're watching and you're going, how the heck did they? That's Diana. That is Diana. And she plays her as a person. They go through the bit where she goes on a tour to Australia, and and there's a bit where they essentially say Australia is still part of the Commonwealth because of Diana and because of people's reaction to Diana. There's a bit where she goes to New York, and you can see different people in the royal family begin to resent the fact that she seems to have found a way of making the family relevant that they couldn't have done. But I think it's great. I think when you talk about costume drama, this is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. And I'll give it a 4 out of 5. looking forward to season 5, where they're switching and Imelda Staunton is going to be playing the Queen.
Oh wow! There's actually it's quite interesting that, because I didn't realise. I mean, with meeting of the Prime Minister, that makes it a bit more appealing to me. I think, because I thought it was going to be a bit of a melodrama. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
that sounds quite interesting. I mean, I know the Prime Minister's in it, but one of my favourite programmes is the Windsors. I don't know if you ever seen the Windsors. Have you seen the Windsors?
No, I've not seen it.
That's
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it.
That's the opposite end of the spectrum to the crowd.
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you what is good. I mean, there's I haven't got the BritBox thing, but they have got a few little snips of Spitting Image, the latest Spitting Image on.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's hilarious. It's hilarious how they've got them. So yeah, they're on YouTube, little clips, you know, and the cabinet, you know, it's just great. And old Pretty, you know, like big vampire. It's great.
Pretty Patel, yeah.
Pretty Patel, yeah. It's like, oh, you know, yeah. So that's I put that to notify me when some more come up on YouTube. So.
All right, we have less than a minute before Zoom kicks us off. So
right, okay.
So I think I will say, so I mean, obviously things are shorter now, but I'll just say, in case this cuts us off, before it cuts us off, I'll say until next week when we talk about something else that we've seen. It's a goodbye from me.
Okay.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Netflix versus Cinema. Talk to us on Facebook.
Yeah, open up the cinemas. That's what I say.
Yeah, we need to get the cinemas back open.
Yeah, there's got to be some advantage to being in Tier 1.
Yeah.
Have a cinema back, please.
Well, I did hear a thing. I did hear someone say that the island's an experiment to see if they let it down, how bad it will be. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. It was just someone.
That might be sour grapes, mightn't it?
Yeah,
saying, let's see your rates soar.
Yeah, the government's doing an experiment, you know.
Well, I'll say that at the moment we are living in the age of the age of the conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is in rude health.
That's another thing there was on Netflix, is they've got conspiracy theories, haven't they? There's a little series it's just called Conspiracy, and I mean they're neither one or the other, you know, they're just pretty matter of fact about what people come up with and everything, you know. I did watch the one on the moon landing, because that's quite fascinating.
What do you think of the moon landing conspiracy?